I want to start off by saying that I am not coming from a feminist point of view. And from a gender standpoint, I'm definitely not saying in any way that women are better than men. We just have different roles to play here. Also, I just want to add that feminine and masculine energies are within us all. I think I just needed to preface that before we go into the discussion today. So, since the beginning of time, woman has stood as a living bridge between worlds, the sacred vessel through which spirit becomes flesh, through which the unseen takes form. Long before modern religions rewrote history, ancient peoples like the Navajo understood that women were gifted certain abilities that no man can have, and were also given certain types of glory and a natural alignment or connection with creation itself. They were revered not only as mothers, but as healers, dreamers, and a bridge between our place and others. Okay, I'm just going to get rid of this because it's. But somewhere along the way, the sacred knowing was forgotten, or rather buried. The feminine was silenced, shamed, oppressed, and stripped of her throne. Her power, once celebrated, became feared. Her intuition, once honored, became dismissed. Yet, even in exile, the truth of who she is never died. And a lot of you wonder why I am so obsessed with the story of Lilith. They labeled her as a demon, mother of demons. She was exiled to forever be an outcast. Somewhere in that story, I just smell injustice, a scandal of some sort. Someone, probably some patriarch, felt threatened and got their whitey tidies in a wad. So they ran a smear campaign against Miss Lilith and had her name become mud. So as this veil between worlds is thinning right now in the present time, I feel like this forgotten feminine is starting to rise from the ashes of oppression. A big factor in this spiritual war I talked about 2 videos ago. This battle between remembrance and amnesia, sovereignty and control, love and fear. In this struggle, woman stands once more at the threshold between worlds. Her body, her heart, her intuition serving as the gateway of light into a planet consumed by shadow. She feels the shifting tides before they manifest. She senses the wounds in humanity that must be healed, and she carries within her the ancient codes of the divine feminine, the original mother of creation. The forces behind the veil, I feel like, have always known this, and this is why they sought to erase her, the goddess, to distort her image, to enslave her through the shame and silence. For when woman remembers her divinity, she becomes unstoppable, the embodiment of creation itself. And now that remembrance is spreading like wildfire. The bridge between worlds is starting to open once again. So we can see the feminine is the bridge between worlds. The feminine is not merely symbolic, she is a living architecture of creation itself. Her body, her energy, her intuition are all woven from the threads of the cosmos, special gifts from the goddess. Through woman, the feminine, spirit finds matter and matter finds meaning. She is a living portal through which the unseen manifests into form. In the ancient Navajo tradition, the feminine was actually regarded as the source of all life, not only because she gives birth, but because she maintains the harmony between earth and sky, between the physical and spiritual planes. Women's cycles mirror the moon, her emotions mirror the tides. Her very being is a reflection of the natural order. To live in rhythm with her is to live in rhythm with the earth. So within every woman is actually the memory of this truth, the ability to feel what cannot be seen, to heal through love and intention, to nurture both body and soul. Her womb is not just a vessel of creation, it is an energetic gateway that connects her to the divine matrix. Through it, she can sense energy, channeling healing, and give birth not only to children, but to visions, movements, and revelations of spirit. Women actually produce soma, Another name for it is ambrosia, or the waters of heaven, that acts as a literal bridge between worlds. It originates in the sacral center of a woman, which essentially is the womb. I will get more into this in a moment, but it is highly possible that women are massively exploited so that a bridge may be produced for entities to enter into this plane, and also perhaps even operate certain machines at a very high level. Keep in mind while discussing this that the highest level of technology and computing always leads to thinning the veil to the spiritual world, or discussions about the consciousness and God. So I feel like this is why the dark forces have long sought to sever woman from her power by attacking our bodies, silencing our intuition, and distorting our images into something that is consumed rather than revered. For when a woman forgets who she is, the bridge between worlds weakens. For if they keep her asleep to her own divinity, she becomes easier to control, easier to manipulate into being a tool for the darker force so they can create the world they want through her, through the sacral center, the womb. But when a woman remembers, when she reclaims the throne within, the earth begins to shift. The veil grows thinner. She becomes the sacred channel once more, anchoring higher frequencies into this realm simply through her awareness, her voice, and her presence. The spiritual war we face today is not won through weapons or through intellect. It is healed through remembrance. And woman is the key to that remembrance, for she is the bridge itself. So now I'm going to be moving into the historic suppression of the feminine. So if we look into the past, back into antiquity, there's story after story that talks about the suppression of the feminine. From the story of Eve in the Garden of Eden to the story of Lilith, the story of Inanna's descent into the underworld, the story of Hera, queen of the gods, who was constantly subject to Zeus's infidelities, and he uses Hera's power to create jealousy and often vengeful acts, rather than as a fully autonomous ruler. And the list of stories of this suppression of the feminine goes on. So, from these repeating stories, it becomes apparently clear that the suppression of women was never simply about gender, it was about power. Those who sought to dominate the earth knew that to control humanity, they first had to silence the divine feminine, for she is the intuitive current that connects humanity to source. And a people disconnected from the feminine become easier to rule. From the rewriting of sacred text that erased the goddess or tried to the cultural conditioning that taught women to doubt their intuition and even to hate their bodies. Every act of suppression was part of a larger agenda to sever humanity from the heart. Patriarchal systems fueled by greed, power, and fear replaced intuition with dogma, community, and hierarchy, and spirit with institution. The divine feminine was painted as dangerous, emotional, psychotic, and unstable. All words meant to shame and control. Yet in truth, her chaos was sacred. Her wildness was wisdom. Her tears were the waters of renewal. Even now, the echoes of this suppression can be felt. The modern world still profits off women's insecurity, still commodifies her image while rejecting her voice. Society worships her beauty but fears her power. It honors her body but actually dismisses her spirit. But what was buried cannot remain hidden forever. Across the world, women are awakening. They are reclaiming the titles of healer, mystic, and priestess. They are remembering that their softness is strength and that their compassion is a weapon of light. The systems that once sought to silence them are trembling because the return of the feminine means the fall of control and the rise of truth. Yes, people, the feminine is rising. She is awakening from her slumber. The time of silence has ended. So across the planet, the feminine is stirring, not as a movement of rebellion, but as a movement of remembrance. From the ancestral womb of the earth, an ancient pulse is awakening within women everywhere. It is the same rhythm that beat through the hearts of the priestesses, the healers, and the wise women of old. It calls women home to their essence, to the truth that they are not powerless beings in a man's world, but embodiments of divine intelligence itself. So I think James Brown may have been a little wrong. It's not just a man's world anymore. This rising does not look like warfare as the world defines it. It is not a battle of blood or politics, but a reclamation of energy and truth. The feminine fights not with weapons, but with presence. Through love that disarms, intuition that reveals, and creation that heals. She wages spiritual war with every act of compassion, every boundary set, every voice that refuses to be silenced. Women everywhere are remembering that their power lies not in imitation of the masculine, but embodiment of the feminine. The world does not need more competition, it needs more restoration. And that restoration can only come through her, the sacred womb, through the hands that nurture life, the hearts that hold space, and the intuition that pierces through illusion. As the old structures of control begin to crumble, the feminine rises not to dominate, but to balance, for she carries both the gentleness of the moon and the fire of the sun, the power to birth worlds and the grace to heal them. As she awakens the world with her. This is the return of the bridge between worlds, the sacred feminine rising to heal what has been divided. So this is a call for remembrance. Women, I feel like it's time to remember who you are, why you are here, and what your purpose is. Not the versions the world has molded you into believing about yourself, but the truth that lives beneath this conditioning, the truth that once moved mountains, healed nations, and spoke directly to the stars. The world is trembling not because it is ending, but because it is being reborn through her, through you. The bridge between worlds is no longer dormant. It lives in every woman who dares to walk in her truth, to feel deeply in a world that numbs, to love fiercely in a world that fears love. Her voice is the frequency of awakening. Her hands are the channels of restoration. Her tears are the rivers that cleanse the collective wound. Every time she speaks truth instead of silence, the veil thins. Every time she chooses compassion over bitterness, the dark recedes. Every time she honors her intuition, the world remembers its connection to the divine. Every time she honors her body with acceptance, more and more beauty unfolds that once was never seen. This is not the rise of women against men. It is the rise of the feminine within all of humanity. It is the return of balance, the reunion of heaven and earth, the restoration of soul to flesh. To the women listening to this, you are not small, you are not crazy, and you are not powerless. You are the pulse of creation, the heart of the great awakening. The war you were born into is not your punishment, it is your calling. I want to close out the I want to close this out to the lyrics of a song by Maya Luna. The name of the song is Hymn to Inanna. Let it be known I worship the goddess, the one with tangled hair, where insects nest, the one with blood-soaked thighs, the one who crushes my concepts with her razor teeth and spits my mind into the wind. She shakes her belly to the beat of primordial passion and feasts on the meat of ignorance. She wanders in the garden with a basket woven with the chaos of stars. She is naked and savoring, every petal and thorn. She churns the wheel of time and casts the seeds of manifestation without rhyme or reason. She is senseless and crazy, innocent and free. Her skin is the color of heartbreak, and her eyes the sound of laughter. She takes no prisoners. She cannot be contained or rationalized. She won't conform to my ideas of what reality is or how things should be. Just when I think I have her under control, she takes me down. She will not be dominated. She always wins. She stomps to the beat and throws her hips. She is the prowl of the panther and the leaping deer of supreme delight. Her hair smells of tobacco and pine. She carries a knife in her pocket and holds a lily in her hand. She is pure in heart. She is the darkness of thunder. She is the undercover agent of divine madness, whose ruthlessness is the compassion that severs my ignorance and undoes my separation, so that I may know her deeply. and drink in the wild radiance of her holy mess. With all that I am, I submit to her. She demands the death of all of my control. With all that I am, I prostrate before her insane beauty. When I am humble and true, she comes to me. Dance, she says. Why aren't you dancing? I surrender all reason. She will not be tamed. My submission is my devotion. I have tried to control her in 10,000 ways, tried to seduce her into my happiness. Yet she is the grace that smashes all hope and opens up the blessed wound of living. When I am exhausted and weary, she brings me to my knees. Her muddy feet are the altar of worship, the palace of freedom where joy is born. I love her, this feral beast woman, the spinning chaos and tenderness with her fingertips, whose tongue speaks no meaning, whose laughter is the rose of shameless beauty, whose smile is the sword that slays all striving. To the one who can never be possessed or contained, I submit. To the one who is drenched in the nectar of love, to the one who demands nothing less, to the goddess of reality, I dance with her because there is nothing left to do. I dance with her because there is nothing left to do.